Hello everyone, my name is Zhai Lixia. I come from China and now study in Busan National University. My major is education and the study of and the title of my study is teaching anxiety and its influencing factors of distance education in primary and secondary school teachers. The context is as below. First is introduction. Second is theoretical background. Then is research method and research results. And the last is suggestions. First is introduction. The action resulted by COVID-19 pandemic is starting of non-face-to-face social activities. In the area of education, almost all the schools in the world were closed and teachers had to teach their students from home through different apps. Compared with face-to-face teaching, this distance teaching teachers have to adjust more rules and more efforts to interact with students, pay more times to organize teaching materials, also have to proficient in various teaching software, which caused teaching anxiety. In addition, primary and secondary school students have relatively weak willpower and lack of self-control ability. High effectivity online learning requires more participation and cooperation from parents. Therefore, distance education teachers in primary and secondary school will face more serious teaching anxiety and require more efforts and timely guidelines and teaching anxiety reducing strategies. Due to the various negative efforts of teaching anxiety of teaching results, many studies have been conducted on teachers' teaching anxiety. Research on teaching anxiety started from Professor Anxiety in Science Department, and research related to subjects such as science, education, and mathematics was the main focuses. There are also a small number of scholars doing research on the teaching anxiety of sociology, information technology, physical education teachers, and university professors. But there is almost a blank state of teaching anxiety of distance education. Therefore, this study is exploring the teaching anxiety state and its influencing factors of distance education teachers in primary and middle school can be used as a basis to find reasonable corresponding policies to reduce teachers' anxiety in teaching, promoting the smooth development of distance education in primary and middle schools, and improving the quality of teaching and students' academic performance achievement. And the research questions of this study is as below. There are two questions of this study. The first is what's the factors effort the teaching anxiety of distant education teachers in primary and middle school. The second is three levels of teaching anxiety of distance education teachers in primary and middle school differ regarding the various of personal information and workplace situations. Then is the theoretical background. Here is the introduction of anxiety and teaching anxiety. Anxiety research organized in the field of psychotherapy and subsequently attract the attention of psychologists, usually defined as an emotional experience. Teaching anxiety is defined as a momentary situation character of teaching, and it is an emotion constitutions that may change in intensity. It is caused by adverse consequences produced or expected by the specific teaching situation, and the teacher can effectively cooperate with it, so that the state of psycho and mental balance is treatmented and accompanied by very tensing negative emotion experience such as hopeless and restlessness. It created an plateaued work environment and career situations. The teacher may prefer acting as a control, avoiding new teaching methods and technologies, and experience burnout. Then the third part is research method. There are three parts of here. The first is research participant. The second is research instrument, and the third is data analysis. Of course, sectional approach was taken in this study, and 267 primary and middle school teachers in China were selected via opportunity sampling. The personal information, which include gender, age, education, education background, subject, and their workplace situations, which include the nature of school, grade, school location, and so on. The research instrument is as below. Based on the above studies, researchers deduced a tool to measure the distance education teachers' anxiety in primary and middle school, and reviewed it with 2 professors and 5 doctoral students of education major. The result is as below. The research instruments have 5 classifications, such as distance teaching skill, distance teaching environment, lesson preparation of distance teaching, and then is distance teaching evaluation. And all the classifications alpha value is above 0.7, which means this research instrument is able to use. The last one is data analysis. The participants filled out online questionnaire on their personal information, workplace situations, and the distance teaching anxiety scale through app 问卷网 from 2020 July, and from this situation, after the survey, space SPSS 25 were used to analysis the data. First, data on participants' personal information and workplace situation were presented in frequency and percentages. Secondly, in order to measure whether teachers' personal information and workplace situations have a significant effort on distance education teachers, anxiety, the independent sample t-test and ANOVA test are used. Then is research results. The first is the general situation of distance education teachers anxiety. According to the table, from average point of the view, the average view of the smallest category is the distance teaching scale. Its mean is 3.26. But it is also much higher than the average value. Therefore, it can be seen that the teaching anxiety of distance education teachers in primary and secondary school is serious. Among them, the average value of distance environment and the distance teaching evaluation is the highest. It can be explained that in these two categories, teachers suffer the most severe teaching anxiety. In addition, in terms of lesson preparation for distance teaching and distance teaching evaluation, the average value is similar high, which also means the teaching anxiety of distance education teacher is also serious. Then is the distance education. Then is this distance education teaching anxiety in different various. Here the first is distance education teachers anxiety in terms of personal information. Here is included gender, age, education background, teacher's professional title, and the teacher's subject. In the terms of gender, all the 5 classifications of teaching anxiety, the average value of teaching anxiety of female teachers is significantly serious than that of male teachers, and there are statistical difference in the terms of distance teaching preparation, distance teaching, and teaching evaluation. And then in the terms of age, there have no statistical difference in all the classifications, but it is able to explain is the teachers above 40. In the classification of distance teaching scale, the teacher above 40 have the highest average of distance anxiety. That is, although they have written teaching experience, they are not good at they are not good at distance teaching technologies. So the strongest teaching anxiety is regarded. In the terms of education background, Teachers with different education backgrounds have obvious statistical difference in all the classifications. And in the terms of teachers' professional title, although there are statistical significance difference in teaching anxiety of teachers at different level in our classification. The average of teachers' teaching anxiety didn't increase with the increase of teacher level, and our decrease with the increase of teachers' grade. Then, in the terms of subject, the distance teaching anxiety of teachers who teach different subjects is statistically different among all the classification of teaching anxiety. The average of teaching anxiety of Chinese and English teachers is the highest, which the average of teaching anxiety of mathematics and science teacher is not high like that. Therefore, it can be explained that the teaching anxiety of language teachers is more serious than that of the teacher of the other subjects. Then the second is distance education teachers anxiety in the terms of workplace situation. Here, on the whole, there are not many statistical difference between teachers' workplace condition and teachers' teaching anxiety. Specifically, in the terms of school location. In addition to the classification of distance teaching skill, the average of distance education teachers anxiety among the other four classification are teachers from rural and big urban schools. In the terms of number of students, the teaching anxiety of distance education teachers don't increase or decrease with the increase of the number of students. However, the number of students don't produce statistical difference in teaching anxiety. Same situation in terms of class hour per week and teacher attachment and teaching attachment. Then is about the teaching. Then is about the teaching platform. In fact, now there are three types of platform used in distance education. The first is free conference video such as Zoom. This type of platform is less interactive and has fewer functions, but it is more convenient because of the large user group. The second is free teaching platform. This type of platform have a small amount of teaching functions, but the content is completed, and there are lots of advertisements which are not conducive to teaching use. The third one is professional teaching platform. This kind of teaching forms has more teaching functions, and it is conducive to teacher-student interaction, but the fees are higher. So few schools adopt this kind of software. From from this out of research, other platform usage that produces statistical difference in distance education teaching anxiety. Teacher who use the professional teaching software have the lowest average teaching anxiety among all the teaching anxiety classifications. In other words, teachers who use the professional teaching software have the less teaching anxiety than other teachers. Then is the nature of school. Regarding the nature of schools, in all classification of teaching anxiety, the average teaching anxiety of teachers from private primary and secondary school is lower than that of public teachers, which means the teachers from private and secondary schools have higher distance teaching anxiety. However, the nature of schools have no statistical significant difference in all the classification of distance teaching anxiety. The last is in the terms of grade. In terms of the grades taught by teachers among all the classifications of teaching anxiety, distance education teachers have the highest average value of teaching anxiety in primary school. Teachers from grade 4 to 6, followed by the teacher in grade 1 to 3, and the smallest is 7 to 9 grade teachers, and there is obvious statistical difference in all our teaching anxiety in different grades. Okay, the research result is as before. Then the last is suggestion. This study takes 2016 Chinese primary and middle school teachers who conduct distance course as the research object, explore the distance teaching anxiety as well as the influence of teachers' personal information and workplace conditions on them. Based on the research results, the suggestion is as below. First, the teaching conditions in rural areas are poor. The teaching pressure in big cities is greater, and parents pay more attention to students' academic achievement. Therefore, the teaching anxiety of rural, urban, primary and secondary school teachers is significantly higher than that of distance education teachers in urban primary and secondary schools. Formal teachers from private primary and secondary schools have high anxiety about distance teaching. Teachers from grade 4 to grade 6 have the great teaching anxiety. Also, validated in this study. Therefore, not only rural teachers but also urban teachers, teachers from private school, teachers from grade 4 to 6, that distance teaching anxiety needs to be paid attention to. Secondly, also the higher the progression of parents comparing in class, the greater the teaching anxiety. the accompanied by parents is inevitable. So teachers need to pay more psychological guidance and more practice, so as to reduce the teaching caused by the teaching anxiety caused by parents. Third, according to research results, lots of teachers that using free online video software or public teaching software. However, teachers who use professional teaching software have significantly lower teaching anxiety. So it is necessary to build an official teaching platform that facilitates teaching student interaction, reduce teachers teaching anxiety. The suggestion is as before. My presentation is finished. Thanks for your attention. Thank you.